This next question from Julie. Hi, Wendy. I'm filling out my race plan outline. So far, it's a great way to ensure I'm going into the event with a pace and nutrition plan. When I put on my wetsuit, though, do I just show up to the transition start area in my wetsuit, or do I put it on there? Coach Wendy, is she talking about a half, a Olympic, a full? What's she talking about here?
She's doing Ironman Coeur d'Alene. And so, when I received this question, it really just depends on the venue. Somewhere like Ironman Coeur d'Alene I'm familiar with is the transition area is right by the start of the swim. So there's not much walking that you have to do. And so I think, putting it on when you get to your transition or after you set up your transition and you're satisfied, leave, exit transition, and then put it on. If it's cold, really cold race morning, I've been known to put my wetsuit on in my hotel. And if I'm like walking from my hotel to the venue because it's that cold and I want to be warm, like when I did Ironman Florida in 2021, it was really cold. We had a 4-mile drive to the transition area, but I'm pretty sure I had my wetsuit on in the car because it was so cold out. I knew I was going to be standing in the cold setting up my transition, and I wanted to be as warm as possible. So that's something to take into consideration. But for the most part, you set up your bike and all your gear. Actually, in an Ironman, you don't have your gear. You have it in a gear bag. So you walk in transition, set up your bike, and then you leave. And then as you're hanging around, you can put your wetsuit on. Or if you're someone who's going to be in a later start time, if it's a rolling start and you're going to be in the back of the pack, you might as well wait, especially if it's warm. You don't want to put it on and be too warm, or you don't want to put it on and then have to go to the bathroom. So it's really just dependent on the venue. A place like Chattanooga is different because you either take a bus a mile or two upstream, depending on if you're doing the 70.3 or 140.6, or you're walking there. And so you might not want to be walking a mile in your wetsuit to the start of the swim. Again, it just depends on the air temperature.
A lot of times I'll put it just up to my waist in transition as I'm walking toward the water. And then you'll always find another person who's, you can zip it up for you. I'm like, hey, can you give me a zip? And everyone says yes. Yeah, I'm just one thing about putting it on ahead of time. You might feel more comfortable right there in transition. But I always just put it up to my waist. A lot of people do that just because you're already right there, and then you'll walk out as you. I don't know. For me, it's the shoulders are always so tight that I wait for that to be last.
Right. Anyways, is it short sleeve or long sleeve? I mean, these are all great. I like questions from the first timers because it's been 30 years since I was a first timer. Mm-hmm. And as a first timer, I never even wore a wetsuit because I lived in Michigan and the water was always warm and I was a swimmer. So these are just great first time questions that I don't necessarily always think about because it's been so long since I've had to experience putting on a wetsuit for the first time for my first race.
And so, I don't know if it's just me or other people, but I tend to get overheated pretty quickly, and a wetsuit makes that worse. So if you are going to put one on early and you're all standing around for a while, bring something to drink. That way, any sweat you put out, you can rehydrate yourself while you're waiting around, Julie, or anybody else who may be getting overheated or start sweating a little bit. If it's, it all depends on the fit too, I guess.